It's time to start your life the way it is meant to be. There's only one time when it will be too late, and you don't want to wait for that. This is Now or Never. The choice is yours. Your host is Karen Wright. Today, you're about to meet some amazing people. The stories are not always happy ones, but they define a healing process. Listen with an open mind and an open heart. Now, here is Karen Wright.
Listeners, thank you for being with us today, April 27th. I cannot believe how quick this year is going. Spring is in the air. Our show title today is called Planting the Seeds of Growth and Flourishing. My show guest today is Tran. Vu, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Vu, I'm so lucky to have. He was on my show back in November of 21. And he was willing to come again today to speak some more. There's Vu and I, before this conversation, before we started live, we were having a great conversation. I love the energy that Vu sends out and his mindset. I'm constantly learning from him. So listeners, I hope you will engage, opening up your heart, leaning in with your heart, putting your ego behind you, and just being in the moment. I would love to just tell you a little bit about the show today. There is much we can learn about growth from the natural world around us. Today, Vu Tran looks at what we can learn from the farmer when it comes to sowing the seeds of constructive thoughts, positive energy, and good deeds, especially in the current world climate of war and destruction. We'll explore how to protect and cultivate those seeds to a place of flourishing. So, Vu, I am so excited to have you with this there's a lot of controversy going on, a lot of, things politically that we can touch base on just for a moment, but how we can turn that into something that will be uplifting for our listeners today. I'm very excited about that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Listeners, we begin today. I invite you to cross your legs. We're going to take a moment, cross your hands, just sitting in a position, closing your eyes, and taking a deep breath in through your nose, allowing that breath to go all the way down to the lower abdominals, and releasing. Another deep breath in. And releasing. And now bring your arms up around your shoulders like you're giving yourself a big hug. With that, give yourself a squeeze as you take another deep breath in. And releasing. Now I invite you to repeat this affirmation 3 times. I am worthy of my love.
I'm worthy of my love.
My love. I am worthy of my love.
I'm worthy of my love.
I am worthy of my love.
I'm worthy of my love.
Take another deep breath in. And releasing. And tapping 3 times on your chest, repeating the word accept. Accept, accept, accept.
Accept.
Another deep breath in. And releasing. Listeners, I hope you took that time, that 20 seconds, whatever it was, to be with us, to be present, to be in the now as we start this show today. And as always, I love my affirmations. I'm a girl of affirmations, and I believe what we think, we are. What we think, we can become. And so the positive affirmations to me are very important. Through my life journey and my healing, it has played an important part in my life. So get out your sticky notes, get out your pen and paper, get ready to write these affirmations down. And I'm going to invite Vu, if you're good with this. As I shuffle up the card of decks, I never look at them. Whatever pops out, pops out. And today we had 2 affirmation cards pop out. So we're going to start with the first one. It says, oh, I love this one. I am the creator of my life. I am the creator of my life. So when I read that out loud, what came to your mind? I am the creator of my life.
In a sense, it ties with our theme, planting the seed. We can see a dream, an idea, or a vision is in fact a seed that God plants in our heart or our mind. So it can be a seed of a constructive thought or positive energy or good deed. So as you focus and follow that, so basically you allow that energy or you allow that seed to grow, and guess what? As you do, you are setting yourself on that path. And as you follow that path, you are, in a way, creating your own fate and destiny. So from that perspective, God is a God of love. And by loving us, he planted this seed. And if you trust that seed and you follow through, and you will realize he had planned everything for you to succeed, to make it through. He does not give you a vision or a dream that lead you to fail.
Right.
Even though along the way you may have obstacles, you may run into issues, problems, but those are the tiny, the way that I put it, rocks along the way that help you. By the time you get to your destiny, you realize that the whole journey is a real path of evolution in which it is a testimony of his wisdom and his love.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. Listeners, write that down. I am the creator of my life. And I want you to put the word yes, I am the creator of my life now. Yes, I am the creator of my life now. And that yes and the now just gives you more empowerment, knowing that we are. And everything that Vu said, I support 100% with how we plant our seeds in life and how we can grow and create what our dreams are and what God has in store for us. So I appreciate you, Vu, so much. So here's our second one. I am one with my higher self. I am one with my higher self. Talk about going hand in hand with this today.
Now, on this point, sometimes, God may send a thought or a dream or a vision in your mind. But then with our human perspective, you see, logically, you analyze things out, considering your current situation, the atmosphere you are in. Sometimes it may not be logical, or sometimes you may think it is impossible, you see. But then it is because we are looking at it from the human perspective, using our limited human brain. Now, from that aspect, with our human brain, for example, like at this point in time, we collect the data inside through the experience we gain in life, through education, through everything. So basically, it is a collection of maybe 60, 70 years worth of data that we gained so far. So we rely on that database, 60, 70-year database to analyze the dream. But God gave you that dream, but God is operating from, the universe is 4.5 billion years. Mm-hmm. So looking at that database of 4-point-something billion comparing to 70 years, so I do not have the sufficient data to really comprehend what he planned for me. So if I use my logical brain, for sure, so I've got to disconnect and use the so-called universal connection, or like, the World Wide Web. In this case, the universal web. So once you connect to that, then you are more open. You are able to retrieve more data. Your logical brain is the one that, limit your vision, because you think it is not possible. With my condition, with my education, I cannot do this. But it is only you. But God planned for you is far more than that. You don't even see what He planned around the corner for you. So that is on that point, yes, we've got to connect to our higher self.
I appreciate that. Listeners, we have two wonderful affirmations. I am one with my higher self, and I am the creator of my life. Put the word yes, I am one with my higher self now. Yes, I am the creator of my life now. And Vu, how you describe that, how we limit ourselves with our mindset, instead of just opening up, being able to put it behind us, opening up and seeing what that soul is about and what that soul can do. And I think that's something that, as with energy and the energy world, those, as humans, we struggle with that because we know there's more. And it's being able to sit in it and open up and allow that to happen as you become aware. And we talked a little bit about this earlier before we started today. And I want to just recap with the listeners. The month of April, I've been struggling with a jaw that's been locked open. And as I worked with chiropractors and acupuncturists and energy workers and trying to sit into it and just be, trying to process and download what I am supposed to be learning, I've come to realize that as individuals, we are whole. Our souls are whole. We are complete. I mean, I tell my kids, you have to be complete in order to love another person. You have to love yourself completely. And during those times when we have so much loss and hurt in our lives, we go into the survival mode, is what I call it. Or in spirituality, where God, Christ, is carrying you, helping you walk through it so you're not alone. And when He feels we're ready to learn more, I think things happen in our lives, maybe physically, or another experience of learning to where we need to just sit and be. And He takes a little puzzle piece out of that whole puzzle, our souls, and puts it over here on the side. So it's all by itself. And now we get to focus on that individual, that emotion, that issue, whatever we're struggling with that time, sit into it, and then He puts it back into our complete soul again. And so we can be broken and we can be whole at the same time. And this has come into my forethought more so in the last 5 days than before. In my mindset, I kept thinking, well, you have to be whole. You can't be whole and broken at the same time, but you can. And so when I look at it this way, I do not feel defeated like I did, thinking I've done all this work to heal and to move forward. And now it's one step back forward, 20 steps back. In reality, it's not that at all. In my mindset, in how I feel, how I think. So Vu, share with the listeners. I know we just kind of went off on tangent there, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
For sure, on our spiritual growth, God is nurturing our soul using the physical body, using the world as the environment for us to pick up the pieces. However, in the design, our soul, we already have our own objective in a way. You want, deep down, you wanted to do something, you want to learn something, you want to evolve. So you have a pattern. Each one of us, we have a different way of learning and evolving. So depending on each one of us, God will tailor the specific program in a way that is suitable for each soul. So like you have experienced, sometimes, He will make us go forward 10 steps and then seeing, okay, you are thriving. And then He just want to test, and then He put on the brake and throw you back 3 steps and see how, how you, because just imagine this. If we learn martial art, you see, your martial art master would train you, seeing that you are doing so well. And one day he would just flip the script and just, completely make you feel like inferior. Now, to see how in your mind, how you react to this, how you deal with this. Now, for those like you have seen, for those who are able to see defeat and victory are the same, then you pass. If you see the defeat and you feel miserable, you feel, failing, you feel negative, then there is still the point that is still missing in you. And that is what we all have to go through. And God is we would say like a Yoda in a way, who can really see through and see our weaknesses and touch on those to strengthen us. For those in the past, like from my Vietnamese tradition, sometimes we are thinking God, when we are suffering or when we have problems, we are thinking, oh, maybe I'm being punished, or maybe I have sinned. That is not so. You see, the moment when he see that you are ready, you are strong enough for the test, he will test you. And the test comes for growth, not to punish you or not to destroy you.
I love that. I appreciate that so much, because God is not a punishing God. God is here to help us grow and learn. And you said something, we've got like just a minute left before we go into break. But when I went to Bali and I worked with the yogis and became yoga certified, there is something about, we're all going to be in the depths of hell. We're all going to suffer. Things are going to happen to us. But it's how long are you staying down here before you understand the reason why and moving forward. So it's like that. You can be defeated and a hero all at the same time. And it's how quick are you going to feel defeated before you step back into being that warrior or that hero to learn and grow and raise yourself up so you're ready for the next the next part in life. I love that. We're going to go into a break right now. Listeners, stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to deep dive a little bit with some of the conflict that's going on right now in this world, the war that we're in, and how we can look at it maybe through a different set of eyes at this time. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
All right, perfect. All clear. Back in about 2.
Okay, thank you. That was great. Thank you, Vu.
Yeah, as you mentioned about that, another point is, just like you were saying, the mindset of feeling defeated, and you want to be always, we want to be winners. But the top martial artists, during the ancient time, when you get to the master level or the grandmaster level, the art of fighting is not, to fight or to be victorious, but the art is to fight without fighting.
I love that.
That takes a lot, because that takes a lot, because you've got to be so confident that you are in there, even in the midst of aggression, and that you are able to win without even raising a finger.
Yes. So tell me this, because we might dive deep into this as we go into the next segment. Do you feel like you fight without fighting, right? So it's your mindset, your awareness, your oneness. So let's say something is happening in my life. So the whole jaw thing. So you learn to just be, or be still, allowing it to happen, knowing that something good is going to happen from this. Or explain that to me just a little bit more.
That takes a lot of experience. Now, coming back to the point, like last time when we were discussing, in Vietnam, that's one of the theme, for us in our culture is, for us to excel in
10
compassion,
seconds.
Okay.
wisdom, and courage. So those
Okay.
three are the elements.
Okay, we're going back in, so let's go with that.
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is Karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back. We've been having the conversation of the Vu Tran today about awareness and being aware of what's happening in our personal lives, along with what's happening in the world, the universe, and the greed of man. Now, Vu comes, he comes from Vietnam, a small country where people suffer from poverty and wars throughout its history. His father was a fighter pilot who was trained by the U.S. Air Force. For this reason, Vu says, we were fortunate to survive the Vietnam War. So Vu, as I say that to you, I would love you just to describe to the listeners, Reader's Digest form, a little bit about that time in your life, and then how it's related to what's going on in Ukraine and Russia at this time.
Yeah, definitely. In the month of April, on April 22nd, I remember in 1975, my father came and mentioned to my mom and all of us, we just gather our stuff. Each one of us, we can only have one suitcase. And then we are going to America. So we had only a few hours to prepare, and then off we went. And he arranged a flight for us to go to America. Now, when we were in California, and more than a week later, we all watched on television. We watched the fall of Saigon. And I remember my mom, she was watching, we all watched, but my mom, she was crying, knowing the fact that now we lost everything, our home, even all the families back home. Mm-hmm. So that is the reminder for me. You see, like for example, the people in Ukraine right now, just imagine, just a day before the invasion, your life is just normal. You have your work, you have all of your daily routines, everything is normal. And then the next day, suddenly bombs fell, and then you are running for your life. And sometimes, the only thing that you have, all of your possession is in your backpack, and you're just running for your life. And that was exactly how the Vietnamese went through during the Vietnam War. But the point here is, you see, at that moment, you see, just yesterday, I had a grudge with my neighbors. I had stress with my work. I had problems with my boss, all of these issues, you see, and then today, none of that matters, you see. And then after running through and then have a time just to breathe, and I sit back and I will say, I wish I have those problems back, you see, because right now, the only thing I have is just my backpack, and that's all. And sometimes I'm lucky to be alive with my family members. And there are many who lost everything, including their loved one. And you are sitting there and then just reflecting back yesterday, you had, even though the problems and the issue that you had in life, but it was life. Today, you are just struggling through in pain, in suffering. So that is how, it made an impact on me, because when I saw that, I realized how it was for me.
Well, and it's a trigger because you've experienced and you've been in that. You've been in war, you've seen it happen. And so I'm sure as, Russia wins and invades Ukraine, that you felt for those people, even, to me, even both sides, because I'm sure there's people, Russian people that don't feel like there should be war. And the conflict that they're feeling along with the Ukrainians, like, what have we done? What's going on here? And as individuals, as we sit and we watch the news and our hearts go out to these people and we see all the negativeness, it's so hard because I feel the more negativeness, the more sadness we feel, the earth is feeling, the world is feeling, and it gives that war even more power. What can we do as individuals as we want to support our brothers and sisters across the world on both sides, the Russians and the Ukrainians? I mean, on both sides, like my heart goes out to both. What can we do? What are some suggestions, Vu, that you would recommend for the listeners today?
From my view, I would think, using the concept of planting the seed, we can nurture, the human spirit so that we are able to exist and evolve from the hostile conditions of hatred, injustice, suffering, violence, or death. So from that perspective, we can train ourselves to have the self-control that will enhance or develop our level of patience, sacrifice, and resilience. Now, this self-control, in a way, you see, it is a reminder. It's just like a small meditation step that you remind yourself each day, okay? Train yourself, okay? To be patient. And then tell yourself, you see, what else can I sacrifice? The self-sacrifice here, it's not like, great thing, just, a few minutes of my day to pray. Mm-hmm. Sacrifice, a little bit to help others. So, and then the spirit of resilience. Now, you may have problems at work, at home, little issues, stressful issues, but then how you can overcome and learn from them. Because the moment you are able to overcome and learn from them, guess what? They are no longer problem, but they become your experience. They become the positive energy. In the past, when you are facing this issue, you feel negative, you feel stressed, you feel hurt, you feel emotional, and they are negative. But the moment when you apply this level of self-control, you have gained patience, you know how to sacrifice, meaning you can endure through, and then resilience. So these three ingredients help you to nurture and it become a positive experience rather than a negative. So those are little steps that we are able to nurture ourselves going through. Now the whole world, we are going through like a storm. How we are, helping ourselves and each other to go through this storm.
I love that. And I'm a firm believer in prayer and sending prayers, love and light to those going through this, those suffering, the families that are suffering. And at the end of the day, my little jaw issue is nothing compared to what's happening over in Ukraine. And so it puts everything into perspective of where we're at in our life. And you said that today as you're speaking, I'm like going, oh my gosh, I'm like all like kind of not down on myself, but how easily it is that we can be worried about what we're going through when the whole world is going through bigger issues right now. People are losing their lives and their loved ones and their homes and their families, and their world is turned upside down. But yet, because we're not in the midst of it, thank goodness we're not in the midst of it, that we're safe, that we can still throw seeds that direction of planting love and light to everyone that's hurting during this time. And so I appreciate you bringing that forward, how we can take our negative thoughts and change them into a positive aspect for those people, Ukraine, everyone in life who is struggling and fighting with that war going on right now. I know we talk a lot about frequencies and your 3 elements. I love that you brought those up. So let's just say really quick, the 3 elements, so our listeners can write them down. Repeat the 3 elements for me so we have them for our listeners.
All right. Yeah. To nurture, we have for that, for self-control, we need patience, sacrifice, and resilience.
Okay. Patience, sacrifice.
Okay. So and resilience.
And resilience. Okay.
So by doing so, you can see how they all tie together to help you going through. And especially in this particular case, it is, in my view, it is an internal process. You see, you train yourself to be more, I have to tell myself to be more patient. Okay, I've got to sacrifice more. Okay, instead of spending more for my entertainment, I can, give something to help those who need it. Or instead of the time I have doing nothing, I can spend the minutes to pray, to send good energy to those who are really desperate. And also, with the mindset, we try to tell ourselves, like you were saying earlier, between both sides, the Russians or the Ukrainians, they are both
hurting,
learning together. Okay, we cannot judge one or the other. We only can feel, okay, what are we learning right now? What God is giving us a lesson. We all learn. So help both to be able to learn through faster and evolve faster, so that at the end of the lesson, we, like both will become complete, like you say, okay. And once they are complete, then the lesson is done. Then there's no more war. That's our aim.
I appreciate that. When you're talking about the three elements, but how we can, when we have a moment in our day, to pray for them, our hearts go out to them, or sacrifice, giving to them, giving to the troops, or the refugees, things like that over there. It's interesting. When I was traveling this weekend at one of the airports, they said, do you want to buy a snack that we're sending over to the troops? And I'm like, heck yeah, I want to, and so I love the fact that people take initiative. And even though it's like goodie bags or whatever, and it's like $4, $5, I mean, it's the least I could do as I'm buying my water. It's like, yes, I can give these, give the troops and the families of refugees something to look forward to, some type of aid. And I also had a friend of mine who he took a bunch of, personally went to Ukraine to drop off goods for the people there. And there's wonderful people out there helping. And I think instead of feeling so discouraged, like there's nothing we can do, there are things we can do as individuals if we just open up and look. And to me, we talk a little about, we're planting seeds, but fertilizing the soil to promote healthy growth in our own environment. How can we take care of the soil that is around us? How can we implement that? And I can't wait for your answer.
Okay. Now, to do this, you see, I would refer back to the concept that we all can, be familiar with. Just imagine this: 2,000 years ago, okay, Jesus Christ, he was a human on earth, facing a lot of problems, you see. Now, in that environment, he tried his best to sow the seeds, of how we, have that level of faith, how we treat one another, how we should live. So he laid out, and gave us the seed and how to take care of the seed. So he laid out. Now, the issue here is for those, just like, the example that he gave, the parable of the seed, for those who listen, he just planted, you hear it, so it's already in your mind. So he planted that seed, the program is already downloaded. Now, how each one of us, when we go home, okay, I'm facing my problem, I'm facing my illness, I'm facing all of these issues, and it disappears because I'm so distracted, I'm so preoccupied. However, another person might just, wow, this is something that I can really hold on to, and I will try. And that person allow it, daily to grow. So we can see, you see, he planted the seed of constructive thought, the positive energy through what he's doing. And good deeds trying to help us how we can learn to love one another. And for those who really nurture, we can see over the years now how much this seed flourished all over the world. Okay, so taking that perspective, for each one of us, we can also sow the seed of compassion, wisdom, and courage through what we do, through what we say, and what we think. Okay, deep down in your mind, first of all, your thinking is always in line with compassion, wisdom, and courage. You have that compassion for others, and then you have the wisdom to know how to do it effectively, in a sense. And then you have the courage to carrying it out, despite the fact that you may say, okay, I'm not in a favorable environment. I don't have the resources, or everything may be against you. But those three elements, you'll be surprised to see how those three click together, and you are able to overcome so many obstacles. So that is how, like you mentioned, that is how we are able to fertilize the environment or the soil, so that the seed can really grow.
I love that. Compassion, wisdom, and courage. And sometimes I think the more we go through, the more compassion we have for others. When you were talking about Christ, I was listening to another podcast, cannot remember the name of the podcast, but he uses the word, many of us inspire, but only few aspire. And he goes on to talk about aspirational. How can you aspire someone else? And it's about serving others, becoming a servant of service, a leader of service. And in order to do that, you have to do it like Christ did. He was continually planting seeds, not just through his truth, his voice, but also by his actions of how he helped other people. And I've always been a firm believer with children and raising them. And when they're in the midst of their distraught, it's like, how can you help someone else? Can you go make your sister's bed? Can you go dump the garbage for your dad? Can you, like, just little things in the environment, in the home, that you can help your kids or even yourself do for the other people that you surround yourself with? And it first happens within your home. And then from there, it's with your neighbors, and then down the street, and continues to grow and grow out. And as we continue to fertilize our soil that is right under where we've planted our feet, right where we live, how we can fertilize that through the compassion, through wisdom, through courage, and through the service of helping others. And so I really appreciate that. We have just a couple minutes before we go into our next break, Fu. But how does one learn wisdom? I know this is pretty deep, and it's something, but we just talked about compassion is something that you learn because you go through and you become compassionate. But wisdom.
Well, the wisdom, it ties to what we were talking earlier, to be able to have the level of humility, openness, and truthfulness to seek higher guidance. I can rely on my own intellectual. Okay, I'm the smart guy. I know computer, so I'm, always, with my ego. But then that's the thing that, is way beyond me. So I've got to have a level of humility, openness, and truthfulness to, okay, I want help. I want you to guide me. I want you to open my mind. Then you are able to have access, and you will be able to see, oh, that is wisdom, because the moment you open, you are able to see things that are way beyond your human capacity. And then the more you are humble, the more information, like you said, you are becoming one. You are becoming your creator. You are becoming one with the source. In the past, I'm disconnected because I'm thinking, okay, I am the one. I am the universe. I am the smart guy.
Right.
But that's not it.
Yeah. I appreciate that, because I think I feel I get in my own way. I will self-sabotage situations, thinking I'm not worthy, or I might be successful. I mean, the ego starts playing that the little devil and the angel, right? Not that I believe in the devil, but you know, the little figurines that we see, one shoulder, the other shoulder type thing. And to me, it's all about the balancing. There is good with the ego.
Mhm.
Too much good with the ego, like I've said in the past, ego is edging God out.
Mhm.
So as we go into break, listeners, I want you to write down the word ego, edging God out, and we'll be right back with Vu. Stay tuned.
All right, good segment. We're all clear. Back in 2.
Okay. So Vu, when we come back, I want to take a moment, and is there, like, if listeners want to reach out to you and talk to you a little bit deeper, can you share contact information that they can reach out to you personally, or do you not want that?
Yeah, I can
Like
on,
your email?
yeah, in my email and also on my on the website.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
my email. Yeah, you can yeah, the email address would be perfect.
Okay, so what I'll do is invite you to share your
Mhm.
website online, the I Am Presence,
Mhm.
okay? And then your email if you want them, whichever direction you want to drive them to, that
Mhm.
would be great.
Okay.
Because I think there's a lot of people that would love to, you know, communicate with you. And I enjoy when you're on my show, because I know I'm going to receive your thoughts and your emails about what you just went through with your meditation. And I read those, and I feel, and you give me another thought process, another way to look at things, which I love that as an individual, because I'm a learner. I continue to learn, and I constantly will continue with that.
Yeah, I think we both going through the same. You know, when I see that your theme is springing into action, so I had to meditate and figure out okay, and then again it opened another door. You see, and suddenly with that we both are able to going through those new doors and discover some new perspective. And I believe behind us the higher being, using us as, the way that I say, my mouth and your mouth, we are just a microphone. They are the one who's
right. We are just the microphones. I love that. And if you can hear, great.
I'm sorry to jump in, but we are coming back.
Okay.
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is Karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back. We have had the opportunity during this show to speak with Vu Tran, who has been a delightful guest and continues to inspire me to help me learn and grow. This next segment of our show, is sponsored through my book, Now or Never, Shine, Baby, Shine. It's an international bestseller. You can buy it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Target, Walmart, and is now out in Audible. So please go and buy my book, send me a review, give it to those that you might feel can be aspired to it, and learn and grow also through grief and loss. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Also, you can go and find me on my website, shinenowornever.com. And during the month of May, I am taking women who have inspired you. Go to my website and tell me who that person is. If you have pictures of them, feel free to send me pictures. So we are going to have like a drawing or, out of all of it, and you'll get a surprise at the end. But whether you win or not, that's not what it is. It's about being true to those women who have empowered you, who have inspired you, and who continue to help you become the best version of the person you are. And we're doing this around Mother's Day. And so that's why it's just women for right now, but Father's Day is coming up. So don't forget that either. So Vu, as we go into this next part of the show, I would love you to share with the listeners how they can get a hold of you.
Okay. You are able to see my website, and my website address is im-presence.com, and my email is vutran.stl@gmail.com.
And Vu is spelled V-U and then Tran, T-R-A-N, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So listeners, reach out to Vu. He's here to aspire you, like we talked about, this whole month. When I know he's on my show, he continues to meditate and focus about the theme, which is planting the seeds of growth and flourishing. And through his meditation, he is inspired and he shares with me. And so it's uplifting and another way to fill in my cup with such beautiful guests as Vu. So as we go into the last part, we're talking about planting the gardens of growth and flourishing. But sometimes we're trying to flourish and weeds get in our way, or the rocks would tumble and fall, or the insects come in and they start eating at us. How can we strengthen these seeds and strengthen to survive and grow in adverse environments?
So in the same way that, as I mentioned earlier, for sure, as we are trying to nurture and help the seed to grow, the elements are compassion, wisdom, and courage. Now, each one of us, we can evaluate and cultivate ourselves so that going through this learning process, and as we are growing, we will see that we are able to either control or minimize the effects of greed, selfishness, and power hunger, especially the one within us. So now, if we are able to do that, in a way, you are sending out, I would say, good fertilizers around with your thoughts of compassion, wisdom, and then going through the whole thing, they can see your courage. You are able to get through. Some of us, you may have that inside of you. And then you see the internal battle is going on. Now here we are talking about the ego, you see. And now the ego also serves for a good cause. If we allow it to only interfere 30%, 70% you allow the higher self to override, but only 30%. Why? That 30% of so-called doubt, of negative issues, of conflicts, 30% would act as a fuel to keep you moving. Just imagine this. If it is 100%, then everything is good. You think A and it's A. There's nothing that leave you to second guess or question. If it is 50-50, then you are in a struggle. You don't want that. So the ideal ratio would be the 30% of that ego or that negative or that challenge that give you the opportunity to reevaluate. And also, just like lifting weight, you need that to resistance to help your muscle to grow. So that 30% is needed. So it's just like again, the way that I see it, we see the negative or the so-called downfall or problems as bad, but they are needed fertilizers for growth. So if we think about from that perspective, then in the past I went through this. My aim is to drive out the ego. I mean, completely eradicate the ego. But that is not the way that you want to do. You want to leave a little, 30% of them. That is to help your garden to grow. So the insect, all of those little, God created them for a purpose.
Right.
You see, if we understand that, then in the past, I was on the warpath. I've got to get rid of, my ego completely, take out of my system. But then, I realized, well, no matter how you try, you still have this physical body, and that is a part of you. You cannot disconnect your logical brain from thinking. Doesn't matter what you do, it's constantly will be talking to you. Like you were talking earlier. The two, logical analysis. The evil and the good is always there. It is a part of our application, the process. So we cannot eradicate them, but we realize, okay, let the ratio. That's how we learn the self-control.
I appreciate that. And as you're saying the 30 and the 70%, so my mind goes, okay, well, I see the 3, and the 3 to me is the Godhead, Christ, God, and the Holy Spirit. So to me, that 30%, even though it could be edging God out, it's equalizing God. It's, equalizing God into the oneness. So the ego could be something like that, like equalizing that. And then the 70%, the 7%, God created the world in 7 days. So 7 is complete. So the 70% is where we're is connecting with the higher I am, our higher being. And so, and together it makes 100%, or it makes that perfect 10. And so there's balance, like you said, balancing it all out. And I appreciate the fact that you pointed out constantly we have, it's not good or evil in our aspect, it's just choices, right? And as we learn and grow, sometimes the choices are heavier than other ones where they hurt us more, but it's to teach us, to help us take the next step, to fertilize our little seeds. So we continue to evolve and grow. And the weeds, the insects, the rocks that we trip, it's all part of what God has created. It's all part of our learning and growing at this time in this world and where we're at. And I love, sometimes we get down on ourselves, listeners, and I want you to understand it's okay. If you have those moments, be in that moment, honor that moment, be aware of it, acknowledge it, and then release it. Don't stay in those moments for hours and days and months, because all that's going to do is hurt you more so. But allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to learn through it, and then allow yourself to move forward or grow up towards the sun that is there to nourish us every single day. As we close, Vu, I would love you to share with our listeners one word of advice, one word that stands out for you that you could share with our listeners today.
Well, the one word that I can right now to tell all of us together is being faithful. Because you see, you may see situation that is way beyond you or way beyond your ability to handle, but then just remain faithful and trust, so that I will always tell myself, God, bring me into a storm, and I trust that God, as a loving parent, will bring me out of the storm.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And there's times in our lives, we talked about this before the show started, how during the times where we were feeling like we're in that storm, and how can we move forward? And I call it survival mode, right? Whatever's happening, we become a survival mode. But during that time, that's when we're being carried by God, our parents, our Heavenly Mother, our Heavenly Father. They're carrying us through that. And they bring us to land. And once our feet are stable and they feel like we're good, they're going to let us go and walk on our own again, so we can process what we need to learn through that storm that we were with. And I want you to remember, listeners, that you're never alone. Whatever you believe in, spirituality or not, there is a higher being, there is a higher light that you can connect to. You're not alone. There are earth angels constantly here on earth helping you. Ask for it. Pray for it. I need help today. Send me someone to help me. And allow that to happen, because we're here as individuals to be of service to others. So Vu, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And remember what listeners Vu suggested, be faithful. Be faithful to you, be faithful to other people, be faithful to the God, the higher supreme, the higher light that you believe in, that energy. As we continue on this week, remember our 2 affirmations. I am one with my higher self, and I am the creator of my life. Put the yes at the beginning of the affirmation and now at the very end of the affirmation. As we continue on, remember the breath is a gift of life. Choose now and live. This world is not for sissies. We are here to experience our own story as we each walk our personal path and journey. Have an amazing day, and thank you for being here now with us. Please remember to send your love and light to the people in Ukraine and Russia, sending good positiveness to them at this time. Until next week, sending you all love and light. Thank you, Boo.
Thank you.
All right. Good show today. We're all clear.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
You're welcome. All right. You both have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Well, thank you, Boo, for being here
Thank you.
today. I
Mhm.
really appreciate it. It was good and enlightening, and I hope you got across what you wanted to. Yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. Because I love how our conversations always flow, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you always leaning in with your heart and allowing that to happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. You have a good day.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon. Yes. All right.
Okay, see
Take
ya.
care. Mhm.
Bye.